All right, we want to welcome everybody to our BusyBusy webinar today. We're going to give a few people who are just joining us, we're going to give them just a minute to hop on and get everything cleared up, and we'll start shortly. All right. Well, while we're waiting for a few people to hop on, we just want to kind of talk a little bit about BusyBusy. For those of you who know what BusyBusy is, or for those of you who don't know who BusyBusy is, we're a mobile construction app that is used for job costing, timekeeping, and to bring the data from the field into the office in real time, a real-time process. We're going to go ahead and go through this webinar today and talk about some of the things that we do very well that can help you with your business. So it looks like we've got quite a few people on now, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So I want to welcome everybody to our webinar today. Today's topic is how construction companies are using smart job site data to manage and grow their business. Joining me today is Israel Barlow. He is with the BusyBusy Next Level Consulting team. And my name is Troy Guevara. I'll be your host. Both of us, between the different roles that we have here at BusyBusy, have spent a great deal of time inside the day-to-day operations of many construction companies. We appreciate you being here with us today and allowing us to share some of our experiences with you. Today's topics, we're going to be talking about what smart job site data is. And a lot of people are familiar with the acronym SMART. We're going to go into details about that. We're going to talk about how technology use is delegated throughout the company and the effects of properly delegated technology use and how that not just affects the job site, but how it can also affect your cash management. And then we're going to talk about how we can help with our next level consulting. So before we get started, there is a chat button inside your webinar. I want to invite everybody to go ahead and chat. If you have questions, go ahead and do that. Do so within that chat button. Silence your phone. Go ahead and, for optimal performance, go ahead and close and minimize other windows. And of course, when this is over, we'll be sending a recording of the slideshow just shortly after. So we're going to start first as we get started. We're going to ask a poll question. So my presenter is going to post a poll question right now. The poll question is, how quickly can you review the costs for each day? Herbert, you want to go ahead and show that poll?
It looks like it's up now. I can see it.
Okay, I cannot see the poll question. So Israel, if you can see, you want to go ahead and ask that poll question, please?
Yeah, it's just saying currently, how quickly can you review the cost for each day? So talking about labor costs, project costs. And then the answers would be, we review from job to job. We review at the end of each month, at the end of each week, at the end of each day. But we can only review based on best guess.
Okay. We'll go ahead and give everybody just a moment to answer that. And then we'll go ahead and close that poll. And then go ahead and close that poll now, and let's go ahead and take a look at those results.
Looks like we're about 50% at the end of each month and about 50% at the end of each day, which is great.
Oh, fantastic. All right, we're glad to hear that. Okay. So let's talk about smart job site data. Well, this is what we mean by smart job site data. It's when that acronym SMART, we're talking about specific, measurable, actionable, meaning you can do something to with that data. It's got to be relevant, of course, and probably the most important part is it's got to be timely. Data doesn't, certainly it helps if we get at the end of the job, but it's more helpful at the beginning of any project or during the project, okay? So I want to talk about that and how that affects things. So you can manage your business on a job site on a daily basis, not just weekly or monthly or worse at the end of a project. And that's what smart job site data is doing to construction companies today. The beauty of it is we now have the power to bring all that information from the job site to the office, and we can build custom reports to meet your company's specific needs. The benefit of that is you can read that data daily, and you can make corrections and changes on job sites daily and avoid a lot of the problems that happen because you don't have good data coming in. So let's talk a little bit about that delegation of responsibility. As all of us have experienced, anybody that's been in the construction world, especially owners, the hardest part of growing any business is the cash. Successful companies have figured out how to do two things. One, they can delegate field operations to the right people. That frees owners or administrators, managers. It frees their time to pursue the higher profit opportunities and run their business as they should. Okay. The second part is we need to measure what matters. Okay. We have to gather and organize ourselves so that we can dig into the numbers to know, okay, how do we control our cash? How do we manage our cash? By far, cash flow management is the biggest challenge, and it usually is the leading stress causer for any construction company. So I want to talk about some of those things. We have a lot of companies that we've worked with directly. This is one in particular. Israel has been in this company. They've had all kinds of challenges in the beginning when we first met them. Israel, do you want to go ahead and kind of share some of the finer details about what Smart Job Site Data did for this company?
Yeah, definitely. I think when we first talked to him, we just kind of got the feeling that he felt like he was doing everything. I mean, he told us flat out time tracking, payroll is a hassle. He knew the paper time cards he had coming in were very inaccurate. And then once they did come in, as he was doing his payroll and taking out checks, he just felt like he was always a check delivery service. We've got to get our employees paid, but he's just going job to job, dropping off checks, picking up time cards. And I think we've all kind of gone through that. We feel like we spend more time running around trying to keep things going than actually working on our business to make it better. He thought his job costs were confusing. He told us flat out he didn't know which cost belonged to which job. So he said, I didn't know when I was making money, when I was losing money. He said, even worse, I didn't know why I made or lost money. Employee time was just calculated for the hours the employees worked. They didn't give him any information on what job he was working on.
So he would at that point he wasn't even able to identify where the dollars were going. So it was just going into one.
Yeah, exactly. All he was collecting in from his guys was just how much time he needed to pay him on.
So in that process, it was taking him away from the more important responsibilities, like meeting with banks and trying to get credit and trying to meet other companies. Is that? I mean, that's
trying to get more jobs, keep his guys busy. So one thing we helped him realize is that he can, like you said, he can delegate some of that out to the technology. He can focus more on what he does best.
Okay. And then as we brought in BusyBusy to him, we kind of have identified a few points here. The inaccurate paper time cards, really basic, but really actually a huge hole, right? He was losing a lot of money there. You mentioned check delivery service. He was running around getting paychecks. If I remember correctly, there were a lot of times that paychecks were inaccurate and he was having to re-drive out to projects or have guys come into the office. So his workload was doubled. And then, of course, there was all the difficulties of matching costs to jobs that we spoke about and the employee time being improperly allocated, or really it wasn't really allocated at all. Share with our audience a little bit about what BusyBusy did to correct all that.
So with BusyBusy, it just brought it in. So he was actually getting real-time data, on what time was going to each job. how much productivity he was getting out of each of his guys. It actually helped him learn what jobs to work on and what jobs to turn away.
And then was there some profit growth in that?
Yeah, he told us definitely 30% profit growth within the first 12 months. And not only that, he ended up opening up a second company, a general contracting company, where he's building some custom homes. And it kind of allows him to keep both things moving. And he's learned to delegate to his technology and to his team members things that they can do better, that he needs to stay out of, and he needs to focus on keeping work moving.
Yeah, so we talk about delegation all the time and how important that is. I mean, that's a key to good leaders or good delegators, as we all know. And one of the things that we've seen, both of us, as we've gone into companies, is first off, this 30% profit increase, this isn't a one-off incident. We're seeing that consistently with many of our customers when they make some of these culture changes and change some of their processes. This has been consistent. There's some that have been much higher than that. Of course, there's some that have been lower. But to say, 30% profit increase is completely probable is not exaggerating. That's a real number. The other piece is that right now with the labor shortage in this industry, it is hard to find good help. And one of the things that BusyBusy does, it doesn't completely replace an entire person, but it replaces a lot of the things that some of the people can do so they can become more efficient. And we've seen a lot of success with that. And that's the beauty of what IT is now doing for the construction world. And specifically, I have a company I work with up in northern Colorado and throughout Wyoming. When we started with them, they were roughly 30 employees, and they are well over 1,200 employees right now. Now, I want to remind you, they've had a lot of cash to back them up. But because of the data they've been able to pull out of their business using the BusyBusy tools, and then there's some other ITs that they do use also, they've been able to have substantial growth, and that growth is phenomenal, especially in an area that doesn't have a lot of data service isn't prevalent throughout most of Wyoming. Anybody that's been to Wyoming knows that there's areas out in the middle of nowhere, and yet the IT still works. And so to see them have that type of growth and that type of accountability for crews that literally have to drive an hour and a half in the middle of nowhere to do work, and they're still having successful management of those projects, successful delegation. So, all right. Well, I want to move on and talk about managing growth. Whenever we talk about growth, we have to talk about cash flow, and that's what we've been discussing. Credit, of course, is one of those key elements, whether it's credit from banks, suppliers, subs, your credit lines, whatever it is, you have to have credit, you have to have cash to run your business. And nobody's going to loan you money unless you have it, as we've all experienced in life. And nobody's going to work for you unless you can afford to pay them. So the first hurdle to any of that growth is that cash position. So how do we know how much cash we need? How much credit do we need? We can guess, and there's always every company's got their formulas. Okay, this is how I'm going to manage my cash flow. But what we really need is real data. And so we want to share with you a story of some companies that have growth, and part of that growth increases financial stress. Part of the hiring issues that come with that growth. Israel, will you talk a minute about Stone Tree?
Yeah, definitely. Josh came to us and like he was down there, unknown labor cost by project. He wasn't sure which jobs were profitable. Didn't know which jobs were worth bidding on. He told us, I didn't feel like we were able to keep good records. Didn't know which jobs he was making money on. His business was growing so fast, it just kind of got away from him. And I think with Busy, it really helped kind of fine tune those things and bring that in, and it kind of matched his management style. So he was able to kind of maintain what was going on with his landscape and his excavation. And actually, I think it was just landscape when we first started with him. Then he expanded to excavation, and then he's added 2 more companies beyond that. So he has 4 companies now that he's running. He's able to manage that through Busy and keep an eye on his labor and his labor costs and his job costs. So he's really taken it to the next level.
And what type of growth has he had as part of that?
Definitely pushing that 30%. I know he's more than tripled the size of his team. I think when he first came out, he was around 12 employees. Now he's pushing 40 to 50 between his companies.
Wow, that's pretty impressive growth. And how much time has that occurred?
That's just been in the last year and a half.
Wow.
I mean, and there's a lot of case studies like this. We have one out of New York. When we first met with him a couple of years ago, got him looking at the Busy system and starting to use it. He was running 30 employees, and I think 10 of those were architects. Now he's running 160 in the field, and I think his architect firm is hitting almost 80 employees. So they've become a very large GC, and that growth has just been considerable. And we've loved just watching these guys grow.
It's pretty cool. You know, years ago, I was probably about 4 years into running my own business, and I had a guy that had been in it for 35 years, and he came to me and he said, "Troy, you will create a monster." And I didn't quite understand what he was talking about, but there was an element to that I didn't know at the time, and I realized just a couple years later when I saw the monster. Because as you grow, the more you grow, the less kind of control you have over day-to-day things, and you have to delegate more and more and more. And I began to see that, and I began to understand what he was talking about. And that's kind of the nature of it as you grow, and I always enjoyed the growth in business, and I love that part of it, that component of it. But that was the challenge, is, okay, how do I control the monster, so to speak? And I saw that, and I look at some of the technology things that are in place now to help you with that. And I so wish, 20 years ago, I would have had those pieces in place. How much stress that would have taken out of my life. Moving on, I want to talk about another poll question. Herbert, can you go ahead and post that poll question, please? And Israel, when that's up, will you go ahead and read that, please?
So his poll question is, are you focused on growing your business or increasing profit? So the answers to that would be, we'd like to take on more projects at a time. We have plenty of work. We need to increase profits. I just want to maintain where we're at and make it easier, or none of these.
Okay, we're going to leave that up for just a second. Let everybody answer. Okay, let's go ahead and close that poll there. Let's look at those results.
So about 25%, we'd like to take on more projects at a time. About 75%, we have plenty of work, just need to increase profits.
Okay, which is actually very common right now. That 75% is, I'm seeing a lot of companies that have that mentality, I guess I can call it that. They're thinking, hey, we don't need to hire more people. We can't hire more people because of the market, but we certainly can get more profitable. And I'm seeing that. A lot of my friends that are estimators are saying, yeah, we're going for the stuff that's highly profitable right now. That's what BusyBusy does. BusyBusy will help you manage growth. It's a technology solution that allows you to know how to bring in the data, so you know what the labor numbers are for any project any day. I have the ability to have my employees go out to the job site, work for the day. As soon as they clock out, the numbers are real. I have real-time data, so I know, okay, how many hours were spent, how many dollars were spent today, and where was my production. What a great tool to use. You want to know where your profitable jobs are? We can show you that. Not just at the end, because we all know what jobs lost or made money or at the end, but during that process, are we making money? And then, of course, the best part is at the end, we can dig into the numbers, and we can produce reports that show you whether those jobs are worth bidding or not. And it's so simple. I mean, you look at this screen right here, and you can see what your employees are going to see. They can see every day, okay, we've spent 94% of our budget right here. Really simple to pull up and read that. It's not hard to do. They don't have to be running spreadsheets. We have the ability to give them that information right here. Timekeeping, this quote right here, timekeeping was one of the biggest things, and it helped us to be able to keep track of all our jobs to where I could job cost all of our jobs through BusyBusy. And I believe that's that comment's accredited to Stone Tree over there. Now, regardless of how much technology you have, the reality is you have to have craftsmen and you have to have laborers to do the work. It's, you know, it's basic economics. You got to have land, labor, and capital, right? Well, labor is an important element in the growth of any company right now. But companies, as we just talked about in that poll question, was evidence, aren't necessarily growing in employee size. They want to grow in profitability because it's tough to get employees right now. Recent reports show there's about 243 unfilled construction jobs, 243,000 unfilled construction jobs, which tells us, okay, if we want to grow, we've got to attract the highest quality employees. So let's talk about that. Israel, you've been inside some of these companies. Will you share some of those principles and some of those things that they're doing to attract these higher quality employees?
Well, I think a lot of it, I mean, as you initially implement a technology like BusyBusy, you get a little bit of pushback from your employees because they're thinking it's about tracking them, their location. But as they get in and they're using it, they start to realize that it helps them understand what they're going to get paid for. They know it's accurate. When they see their check, it matches what their busy was. That kind of spreads. I mean, we've had companies where an employee left one company, went to another, and then that company came on BusyBusy because he only wanted to use it, only wanted to work for that company if they're using something that would track his time accurately. And these guys need to know they're going to get paid for the work they do. And it gives them visibility as much as it does you.
The other part is we see a lot of employees that are happy because I remember having the issue when employees would come to you on Friday and they'd want to verify the hours were always correct, right? How much time does that save companies because they can see their hours are correct at the end of every day?
Yeah, now they can sign off on it, that their hours are correct. And if they're not, they can add a note to that, letting their manager know what needs to be changed to make it accurate.
So they know at the end of every day how many hours they've spent. They know if they've gone in overtime or not, both the employee and the supervisor. And so by the end of the day, Friday, when they actually sign their time card, or when they do it Saturday morning or Monday morning, that's really more of just a process because they've already basically approved those the previous days, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And then they're not coming back after they get their check wondering why it was the amount it was. They already know what's coming.
Okay. How did that affect Leo, going back to his situation? Do you recall?
Leo, it just gave his employees better confidence that they were getting paid correct for the work they did. Josh, even better. Josh ended up with a line of people that wanted to work for him because that just kind of spread through the community, around his business, that this guy paid on time, always accurate. They never had to argue with him on whether their pay and their time was accurate.
And he actually began paying his employees by performance, which motivated them to do better, which motivated them to have better performance, which made them make more money. And in the end, his actual labor costs went down because they were more motivated to perform well, right?
Yeah, and we think of labor costs going down, meaning we're paying the guys less, and that's not necessarily the case. We're paying the same, but we're getting more production out of them. We're getting more done on the job than what we were when we weren't tracking it.
And so his labor costs went down, his productivity went up, and as a result, his profitability increased. And the cool part is his employees were making more money, which is a win-win for everybody, right?
Yeah, employees need to know that they can advance in your company, make more money.
Yeah, mama's always happy when the check's bigger, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on to what we call lean management. This is a process. Okay, how do you manage documentation of work as your team size increases? We could also call this cash management, but lean management's really about being more efficient in general, not just in the cash position of things. So we need to have this lean management mentality. And so we want to share a story with you. A gentleman named Ben that we work with, High Country Construction, and kind of his story. He was having these same types of pains that we've talked about. The losses hurt him. They hurt him hard. He didn't know where his employees were. There was no accountability of employees. And yet he was getting asked to do more and more work because the market was dictating that. So he implemented a lot of the BusyBusy processes. He implemented BusyBusy, of course, in general, and he began to find those efficiencies in his business. He began to hold different foremen accountable. And I've been in his business several times. I've met with his staff. He actually has a very lean staff because they rely heavily on technology to do a lot of the office work. The cool part is he's a guy that likes to get out in the field. He doesn't want to have to sit in the office and manage his business. So he's turned over the kind of the office operations to just a couple people. He's running crews of around 55. I think last time I was in there, they were more than 60. But those crews are spread all over probably about a 30-mile radius, 40-mile radius that they're working in. Actually, yeah, it's about a 40-mile radius. And he's able to drive from job site to job site, which is what his passion is. He loves going to the job sites. He loves schmoozing people and talking shop. That's what he does, and that's what he's good at. And because of that, he's able to run BusyBusy from his phone. He's able to see his crews. He's able to see his employees. He's able to see the numbers day to day. And there's been a few times I've been in his office. He'll pop in at random when he's driving through the area, say hi to his office staff, and he knows that they're running things the way he wants them to because he trusts the technology to handle those things. What it's really done is it's allowed him to spend more time doing what he enjoys and less time doing what he didn't enjoy, which was the things that he was doing just a couple years ago. His business has increased greatly, and his comment is that the technology has replaced costly project managers, and that's his business model. I'm not saying that's what BusyBusy does, but that's what his business, it's allowed him to do his business model, which is really fantastic. And you've met him a couple times, Israel. You want to add anything to what I've spoken to?
Well, he's a great guy. His customers love him. His employees love him. He runs a tight ship.
Because of the tools he has in place, right?
Yeah, correct. He's learned how to delegate that, not only to his technology, but to his team.
And that's what this managing documentation has done, right? So he's needed to maintain lean overhead. He's been able to do that through the use of technology. He didn't know, again, what jobs were making money, what jobs weren't making money. He has accurate job costing through the use of BusyBusy. And he was unable to negotiate the tight jobs. Well, now he knows the detailed numbers on any jobs. And actually, last time I talked to him, he just said, Troy, just stay away from those ones. I don't even go into them, especially in today's market. He doesn't need to. He just said there aren't any more tight jobs anymore because he knows what he wants to bid on or where those numbers should be. So I want to open up another poll question. Let's talk about that. Go ahead and open that up if you would, Herbert.
So it's an interesting question. So as a percentage, how many jobs do you lose money on? Maybe a good way to think about that is how many jobs do we not make what we thought we were going to make on? And so you've got never, 1 to 10%, 11 to 40%, 41% or more, or I don't know.
Okay, let's go ahead and close that poll and see what those numbers look like.
17% say never, 1 to 10%, 33%, 11 to 40% of the time, 17%, and I don't know, 33%.
Okay, so for those 33% you don't know, we can help you there immensely. That's what smart job site data is. So smart job site data is to help you grow your business. Okay, I will tell you, former construction company owner, we ran between 40 and 60 employees, depending on the time of year. And I can tell you, I used other apps, I used other tools out there. BusyBusy is the most powerful app available, especially dollar for dollar in the construction industry. Okay, it's going to bring you the job site data that's going to just make technology use easy, and it's going to make technology use easy and bring you the job site data that's going to make things better. As we talked about, Leo is straight up masonry. He expanded his business into land development, and he's managing hundreds of employees now through subs and also through the app. He's using the app to manage some of those subs. I think they've expanded to 4. They might be in 5 different business. Oh, I take that back. Stone Tree is the one they're running 5 different organizations now using BusyBusy. 60 plus employees.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. And I think they had one business they're just starting to dabble into, right, Israel? Because he's waiting to see what the numbers look like using BusyBusy.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah. I don't remember if he was kind of thinking, I don't know if I'm going to go into this or not, because he started to get the initial numbers using BusyBusy and he was hesitating. But that shows you the power of what BusyBusy can do, right? And then, of course, we talked about Ben at High Country and how he expanded his business throughout northern Utah. And I will tell you, as far as overhead, he has a very lean business. He relies on not just BusyBusy, but other technologies to keep his business very efficient. So I am getting a poll question right now, and I'm actually going to get into some of these questions here in just a minute. So I'm going to move forward, and then I'll get to that poll question, or not the poll question, to our next question, or our chat question. But so let's talk about the construction triangle. Okay, we're familiar with this. This is a construction triangle here. Everybody, whether you're familiar with it or not, you're familiar with it, meaning that we all estimate jobs, we all execute jobs, and we all evaluate jobs. Usually, at least in the past, that process has happened. We estimate, we get the contract, we execute, we finish the job, we evaluate. What we propose with BusyBusy is to intercept that process and take that evaluation into the daily process. So as we execute, we can evaluate every day. Israel, will you talk about that, please?
Yeah, we just need, a lot of times we actually end up estimating, executing, and we felt like that job went good. We're already estimating and executing the next one before we even get the chance to evaluate some of these jobs. So we really got to fine tune that. I think the construction triangle, it's purely a simple method of managing your projects using filled data from project to project to create better estimating, more efficient processes. Maybe we should look at this other poll.
Yeah, let's run this other poll.
So when does your team review each project? Are you reviewing them daily, weekly, once in a while, only if the job's going bad, or never? I think we all review. It's just sometimes it's when we can get to them.
All right, let's go ahead and close that poll.
So daily, 25% of us. Once in a while, 25% of us. Only if the job is going bad, 50% of us. Sometimes only if the job's going bad means we're reviewing on a daily or weekly basis, for sure. But the core of this management strategy is smart job site data. Your crews are clocking in and out daily and switching through tasks and projects. You have the reporting needed to manage progress and manage your labor costs on your jobs on a daily basis.
That's right. So we showed a slide earlier where it showed that the foreman has the ability, or anybody that you give that authority to pull up on a daily basis where a job is dollar-wise or hours-wise. And as we all know, we bid things generally based on man hours, and then we convert that to dollars, and that's how we get our bid number. That being the case, if you had the ability to manage that job on a daily basis, especially when things start to go even if you just suspect they're going a little sour, you can look at that and you can say, okay, we're getting a little sour here. Let's correct things before they get way out of hand. And the other piece is when you see things going really well, you can pull that up and say, okay, for whatever reasons, our production is higher than we anticipated. How do we capitalize on that? And BusyBusy gives you the power and the tools to be able to not just see that, but be able to execute on that and know where those numbers are on a daily basis. One of the things that we've experienced here at BusyBusy is a lot of companies have asked us, hey, help us with this on the next level. And so we actually created what we call our next level consulting team. And we are going into companies now using our next level consulting team. Israel's done the majority of that work. And we go into these companies and there's just a list of features in BusyBusy that they're just not using because they just haven't taken the time to do so, and they're overwhelmed with other things. So we go in and we help them capitalize on that. Israel, do you want to share about some of the experiences you've had with the Next Level Consulting?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think most people are initially when they buy into BusyBusy, it's for time tracking. It's to get away from paper time cards. Busy has helped thousands of customers worldwide move from paper to using electronic time cards. So one thing to understand is because we're more than just a time tracking system, when customers use all the tools we provide, they're able to follow that construction triangle method daily, which really helps kick their business to the next level. We've worked one-on-one with many of our customers, helping them utilize all the tools that we offer and move from just using electronic time cards to maximizing their business, what we're calling S.M.A.R.T Jobsite data. So we'll kind of talk about this process a little. I mean, we break it down into 5 steps. Assessment, design and customize, team adoption and training, optimizing field reporting, and evaluating your data. So the assessment, we definitely want to come in if you're on the system already, or if you're just looking at using BusyBusy system, we want to come in and kind of look at the processes you're doing right now. Look at how your Busy set up, your accounting set up, how you're estimating, how you're tying these things together. And then if you're using heavy equipment, are you tracking that? And what's your utilization like? And then we move to this design and customize phase where we're actually helping you design out cost codes, design out daily labor reporting, design out your project setup. So it's easy and simple for the guys to grasp in the field. The most important thing, if they don't understand what they're trying to do each day and they're just guessing through the data, you're giving them to select, you're still not getting good data back in. So we really spend some good time teaching the team, training them how to use it, how to maximize what they're sending in. I mean, from your employees, to your foremen, to your estimators, helping them create and analyze their labor budgets, to your managers, even your admins. I mean, our goal at Busy is to help you improve profitability, improve production. Once you've been doing this for a while, then we'll come back in once we move into our optimizing field reporting. So we want to just make sure we can tweak things a little, get it more customized to your business. I think one thing I've seen company to company, we get in there and some of them are trying to use these cost codes, but they're trying to use these standardized cost codes so that they've got a list in there that's, 50, 100, 1,000 things long that the guys are trying to work through and make sure they get the right one. And we need to almost dump that in the garbage. That came from somebody's accounting software 20 years ago, and everybody thought it was great. If we want for our labor, it just doesn't work. Got to be customized to them. For your accounting side and your materials and all of that, if that's what you need in there, that's great. But let's keep our labor simple. Let's just get it broken down into simple categories that we can manage on a daily basis.
That's right.
And this process takes us about 6 months to go through. First 4 months is getting everything moving correctly, and then those last 2 months we're really just kind of tweaking it towards your business.
Okay, so Israel, I've got a question that says it's asking, how do we sign up for a Next Level Consult? I also have one that says, what does Next Level Consulting add to the BusyBusy experience? I think you answered that one sufficiently, but so let's talk a little bit about how do you sign up for Next Level Consult?
I think you can call the team and I'd say just get an appointment booked. We can do a quick 30-minute consultation, talk about how you're either using Busy now or how you're using whatever software you're using for your labor right now. It doesn't even have to be Busy. We'll still help you. Or they can go right to the site and I'm pretty sure you can actually go in and find an appointment and book your appointment right there. And it's just a web meeting. And then we can talk through the different processes that may or may not need to be changed within your business.
So I'm getting another question that says, I've already set up BusyBusy, but I want to change things in BusyBusy. Let me answer that one. I always tell people that BusyBusy is not set in concrete. And that's what makes it great. It's very flexible. So you can go down the road one way for a week, a month, a year, and you can change things, change the setup. You can get a new ERP software, new accounting software, whatever you want to do. BusyBusy is that malleable. You can change it that quickly. And we've done that. We've had companies that said, Troy, this is what I want to do. And I'm like, you sure? And they're like, yeah. And they do it for a few months and they call back and say, yeah, I want to do it this way. And I'm like, okay, we'll do it that way.
Takes you back to that old saying, you don't know what you don't know. I think once we start getting that data out of Busy, we're like, wow, okay, now I've got it coming in, but now actually let me change it so I can get what I want to come in and get it in the way I need it.
Yeah. And that's part of the growth that we're seeing with a lot of our customers, right? Some of them just come in, like you mentioned earlier, we just want electronic time cards. And then they see everything that's available and they say, all right, how do I get to this next level? And that's the beauty, and that's why we created this program. So
it's kind of like crack, right? You start getting good data and you just want more and more and more.
Okay. Another poll question: how can we train the workers, specifically the ones that are not tech savvy and maybe had very little schooling, to use BusyBusy in the best way possible? I'll answer that. I'll let you, Israel. But really,
go ahead.
BusyBusy is just really the term I like to use, we've idiot-proofed it. So for the basic employee, they clock in, they clock out. There's not much more to that. We put pieces in place, so it's really easy. Go ahead and go into depth, Israel, and talk about what you do with these companies.
I just think we kind of baby step them into it. I mean, if we build the system out where they're having to do all these things all at once, it just confuses them very quickly, and they feel like it's overwhelming. I mean, if you kind of baby step them into it, get them doing a couple things, and then kind of move it to the next level, every few weeks or every month, you're asking for a little more. It eases them into it, and then they start to realize how simple that is, and you don't have them fighting you nearly as much. And I think that's with almost any technology.
Yeah, I agree. I was actually on a call with a gal this morning who we're just setting up, and she asked me, she said, Troy, how quickly can I go on this? And I said, you go as fast as you feel comfortable. Because my experience has been, if you plan on 2 months, it usually takes a month. If you plan on 3 months, it usually takes a month and a half, because it's usually, the learning curve is faster than I think most people think. And so I always say you plan and you grow as fast as you want with it, and it'll be implemented before you know it. And you've gone through that same thing with a lot of the people you visited with also, correct?
Absolutely. I think when they're initially getting in there, they think it's going to be worse than it is as far as an employee. And once they see that, oh, it's just the clock in, maybe we get them just switching through a task once or twice a day, and then slowly move them in. So we're pulling in cost codes. We're moving several tasks throughout the day, several locations, tracking travel time. There's just so much data you can pull out of the system in so many ways. So just ease them into it. And you've got to be a strong owner. I mean, we've run into companies where the guy didn't even have a smartphone. I mean, I did a setup and consulting for a company out of Oklahoma recently. And we get in there and he's got his 60 guys in there and we're all talking about it. And a couple of his guys are like, well, I just have a flip phone. I don't have a smartphone. And this owner was pretty adamant about wanting to set this up the best way he could, have all the guys doing their time individually. And so he just told him, he said, well, I guess if you're showing up here tomorrow for work, you're going to need to have a smartphone in your hand. And I loved it. It was the guy showed up the next morning, they had smartphones. So he was just kind of matter of fact. I mean, with our system, you can run it where the team leader is tracking the time for the team, but we can run into some problems there where the team leader doesn't show up the same time as they do, or he goes home earlier, or he goes to a different job earlier. The most efficient way is to just get all your guys doing it. Just slowly push it through. Let them know it's not an option. This is actually what we're going to move to.
So true. So true. You reminded me of a company I had probably about 6 months ago, and I said, these are the principles you want to work with. He asked me my feelings, and I said, if you do these things, you will have success. And he called me about a month in and said, Troy, this just isn't working. And I says, okay. I said, but are you doing the things I told you to do? He said, no, the guys they don't want to do that. I says, okay. I said, I'll make you a deal. you go ahead, you give this another 2 weeks, but you follow those same principles, and then call me and let me know how it goes. And 2 weeks went by and I didn't hear from him, and then 3 weeks and 4 weeks. And I finally called him and I said, what's going on? He says, oh, Troy, it's working great. I just implemented those things you talked about. And I said, did anybody leave you? And he said, no. And he goes, I have to admit, Troy, I was worried I was going to lose guys. But guys want to be held accountable, right? And anybody, he actually did lose one guy, but he wanted to get rid of that guy anyways because he was one of those dishonest people. Anybody you lose, my feeling is you probably didn't want him anyways. But he was worried about not having enough manpower, and he implemented those policies, those things that we do as help you build your company culture, and it was very successful for him to the point that he didn't, like I said, he didn't even call me back. I had to call him, which was great. It just shows you that you run your business like you talked about, Israel. You got to get your guys to participate, and you will have a lot of success.
We just need to make sure they understand that. I mean, accurate job costing is everyone's responsibility, not just the manager, not just the admin in the office that's trying to enter it into your accounting. I mean, if you want to work for a company that's thriving, giving raises and giving benefits, it's everybody's responsibility to make sure we're making profit.
Okay, well, we're going to go to continue with some more Q&A right now. So if anybody wants to add any more, I think we've looked through all these questions, and in the meantime, we'll leave this up so you can reach out to us, call us, go to our website, go.busybusy.com/next level, or if you just go to busybusy.com, you can find us there to learn about just BusyBusy in general or our next level consulting. Anything else
you want to just set up if you want to just set up a quick consultation, and I'll actually get on the phone with you or on a web meeting. We'll look at what you're doing. If you're a current customer, we'll look at what you're tracking now and give you some suggestions to move forward on it. Or we can move right into the next level program and just totally revamp your entire system. It's completely up to you guys. We are definitely here to help.
The one thing that's made me really stick with BusyBusy is the mentality that we aren't here to take your money, because we believe that we're going to make you more money. And if we don't make you more money or make your life easier, there's no sense in having BusyBusy. And that's what's great about it, is I don't think I've ever gone into a company that we didn't make better. And that's something that brings a lot of satisfaction. All right. Okay. I don't see anything else. Any other questions coming up? So
we're a little over our time, so we definitely appreciate you guys coming, spending the time with us today.
All right, very good. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll get this slide deck over to you as quick as we can. Thank you.